guys, thanks for tuning in today. So a lot of you guys asked me to continue the conversation on tone by showing my guitar pedal. So as I mentioned before, every 2 or 3 years or so, I kind of like dismantle my whole setup and kind of piece it out, and I start all over again. So you see on the screen my old setup, my old pretty much analog pedal setup, and I started to piece it out. I already sold the compressor and overdrive, so this is the best picture I have of it. So we'll start here, and then I'll move to the Helix to show you how I continued my setup. All right, so first in line I have my my compressor. This was the Soul Preacher, and so this I go directly from my guitar into a compressor just to keep my sound tight. To make sure that it's gonna help me a little bit with my consistency with my picking, and if I get a little carried away with my strumming, it's gonna keep that tight. And so what a compressor is doing is it's smashing the peaks, and with the makeup gain it's leveling off the softer notes, so it's acting as a leveler. So that's first in line for me. And then I go into a little overdrive. So if you notice here, I don't really have a distortion pedal because I don't really use that a lot, but I can overdrive the gain here, and so you'll see that drive up top, and then there's my volume. So if you want more distortion out of your overdrive, you can simply add more gain and then turn down that volume right there, and so that's what's happening with pretty much any amp that allows you to have gain and the volume. That distortion when you begin to break up that preamp. So adding more gain to it and then backing off the volume, you can get more distortion out of that. But you notice that I had a moderate setting, so that's just to give me a little boost for solos and things like that. That tone knob was right up the center, and so I had the compressor, overdrive, and then I went into my volume pedal. This is the Ernie Ball VP JR, I believe. And so from there on that, there's a tuner, a true bypass that allows me to turn my volume down and then still tune with the polytuner. And so, and I put my time-based effects after the volume pedal. And that's important because you saw in one of the previous videos that I'm in your care, where I was doing a lot of swelling, but I wanted my delays and reverbs to still come through even when I turned down the volume on my guitar. So it kind of increases that that swell a little bit. So it works just as if you were in a gym or a concert hall and you talk, that reverb and decay doesn't just necessarily go away. It's going to linger on. And so that's the same thing I'm applying with the guitar. So when my volume pedal goes open, it shoots through those time-based effects like the reverbs and delays. When I close it, those reverbs and delays, they're going to finish that decay time and that feedback time. So from the volume pedal, here I'm going through the reverb. And truthfully, the reason why I got this reverb is because a lot of shows I was doing where they have backline, some of the amps, the reverbs, the spring reverbs weren't necessarily working right. So I just bought this guy just as a fail-safe. This was the Hall of Fame, and it has a little USB port where you can actually download presets and load that reverb. Like a plate, hall, or spring, or whatever. You can put your own reverb in that. And I kind of took the cheap route with that because I don't use it a lot. And so that's the reason why I have it before my delay. Truthfully, I would do the delay first and then the reverb. But I did it this way because when I was tracking sometimes, I wanted to use that left and right output on that delay. So I would just go through the reverb mono and then come out the delay stereo. But usually in that instance, I wasn't running the actual reverb. So just like if I was plugging the guitar directly into the left channel and still getting left and right out of delay. So Logic, or if I'm using the Helix and if I want to run the stereo, I'll run my delay first and run that through a stereo reverb, if that makes sense. Because when those delays linger on, I want them to seem like they're still in the same space that I am. So Yeah, so that's the analog setup that I had, and I just started to piece it out. Again, I just sold the compressor and the overdrive, so sorry I couldn't actually demonstrate that. But you've heard this on the previous videos. I'll put a link just in case you haven't. So yeah, compressor, overdrive. Now I'm going into my volume pedal. When I close the volume pedal, I can still tune because I'm coming out of that true bypass output. And then the main output is then going to the reverb and delay. But in my new setup, I go delay and then reverb so I can get the delays in the same atmosphere as, you know, my standard guitar sound. All right, so stick around. I'm gonna grab the Helix and I'll talk about that new setup. All right, guys, I've got my Helix up and I've got a preset that I've created, and so we're gonna go in and test it out, and I'll show you the routing there. All right, so let me go in those settings, and so you'll see. Oh well, a little disclaimer: this is not a Helix tutorial. This is pretty much me just showing you my routing. If you're interested in one of those, let me know. So first thing that's in line is I have a noise gate, and so on my guitar you can hear that little you know, the little grounding or hiss or hum that I might get from the guitar neck or from the pickups. I'm kind of cutting that off for my clean sound. So this is with it off. So if you notice when I change pickups, it kind of goes away. But as I keep switching through certain pickups, you get more hiss. So I'm just doing that up front just to knock that out so I can be a little bit cleaner. All right, up next, I have the compressor, just like I was talking about. So let me turn that guy off. With it on, you get a little bit more volume, but also what's happening is it's controlling my picking a little bit more, keeping that more consistent. I'll turn it off. That's kind of loose. More of a tighter sound. All right, then up next, I have just a basic EQ. And so the guitar I have is the red Strat with the, you know, the plaid pick guard. And I'm just trying to clean it up a little bit. So I'm dropping some of the lows out, real subtle. What else am I doing? I'm boosting some of the attack. Wait, let me go back. So, I'm sorry. Oh, I messed up my preset. Let me start over. All right, so I'm back. Let's look at that EQ. All right, so I'm boosting some of the attack at 2K and some of the, you know, presence around 6K. Let me turn it off. Turn it on. A little brighter, a little cleaner, scooping out just a little of the lows and giving a little bit more attack and presence. All right, so up next I have a tube driver. So that's gonna be my my overdrive, and then I have a distortion. So I'll turn those on. Did I have that twice? I think I have it twice. I need to fix that. So my first one will be a basic overdrive, and my second will be a heavy distortion. So I'll fix that a little later for you guys. And then up next, just like my analog setup, I have the volume pedal. Because this is like what I'm doing is I'm controlling how much I'm going into the amp, how much I'm going into that reverb. Because I'm used to having an amp that has a spring reverb built into it. So I want to make sure that my volume pedal comes before that, just so my reverb, my room space can actually stay consistent. And so if I had that volume pedal before, that will control how much that I'm compressing with the compressor, because that has an input. If I turn my volume pedal all the way, that means I'm compressing to its fullest capacity. If I turn it down, I'm only compressing a little bit. So that's why I put my volume pedal after I get my traditional tone, my traditional sound. And so after that point, that's when I add the simple delay and my spring reverb, and then that's going into an amp. Let me find that amp right there. So that's my amp and cabinet. So yeah, I'll turn those guys on and off so you can see that. All right, so let me turn the amp off first. So that's the guitar sound without the amp simulator. All right, turn the reverb off. Pretty dry. With it on. Sorry, let's add the delay. So that's going through the reverb. So I'll do that again, and I'm going to turn my volume down. All right, so now you see that delay is still going through the amp, just as it would if I was working it in a live setting. All right, turn the reverb off. Pretty dry. And that's more so what I'm used to. So I start with, my basic compression and EQ, any overdrive or distortion. Then I go into my volume pedal. And after the volume pedal, that's when I add my time-based effects like reverbs and delays. All right, so I hope this was helpful. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, do the usual, and I'll see you next time.